Let's have a chat about your former side, Arsenal. The Gunners travel to Nottingham Forest tonight in the Premier League. It's live and exclusive on talkSPORT 7:30. And the Arsenal boss, Mikel Arteta, he's been speaking to the media ahead of that game and had his say on his side, failing to close the gap on Liverpool.
If somebody tells you at the start of the season, by this time, you have played 5 times with a red card over half an hour in each of those games, and you have lost this amount of players, what's the bet? You are in the middle of the table, at least, and you are out of the Champions League. That's not the situation. So that tells you the resilience, the resources, the ambition that the team has.
That was Mikel Arteta. What have you made of him as Arsenal manager in his time there so far?
I think he had a very difficult start when he had a very bad position on the table, and sometimes he played formation where we weren't sure whether he really understood what he was doing. But since then he was doing really well, and they brought them into the top 4. Very stable, always positioned there. The problem is sometimes that you don't know why they're not enduring their sometimes really good spells during the season to maintain that throughout the whole season, to be at the top of the table, to win the Premier League. And he said it already there that this year they had a couple of red cards and some injuries. I can see that. I think he's still a very young manager. It's his first position in that role. And I'm not so sure if he has support from the club. Not meaning that the club does not want him to support, but as a young manager, I actually, that goes for most of the clubs, as a manager, you have to have support from some guy or some guys within the club who are even as knowledgeable as you are, because at the age of 38 or 39, I don't know how old he is, I think you can't cover all that areas which are needed to become a very successful manager.
What makes you think he may not have support?
Well, because the knowledge is not there. The manager in England is being perceived as being the main guy for hiring and firing players, for coaching them, for practicing with them, for getting the results. And if you're 38, just 4 or 5 years off your own career, I think it's very easy because very difficult, because there's sometimes you haven't experienced all of the certain aspects which are needed to become a successful manager. And at the end of the day, it's Arsenal Football Club. And the fact that I'm sitting here and still being perceived as an Arsenal legend, because within the last 20 years, nobody apart from our team from before has won the championship, tells you that it wasn't overly successful, to say the least. And I think the structure in the club has to be, there must be somebody who tells him sometimes or discusses with him, even disputes with him. And I don't know if that is actually happening at Arsenal right now, because discussion is good and controversy is sometimes good.
I mean, Edu, of course, was there. He's left now. And you made a good point. I mean, he's 42 years old. It's his first job as a manager. Do you think then that he is definitely the right man to lead Arsenal forward? Because I think when you speak to a lot of Arsenal fans, I think the frustration is that they've been close now for the last 2 seasons when it was Manchester City and they didn't get over the line. And then Manchester City this season have had a drop in quality, and it's now Liverpool that have overtaken them. Can you understand sometimes the frustration from the Arsenal fans?
Definitely. I mean, I am an Arsenal fan as well. So we all love the club. We all want them to win because 20 years ago we've won it, but we would love to see them winning, and they can win the Premier League this year, a little bit remote, but they still can win the Champions League. So you never know. And if they're positive, they're playing some of their greatest game now in the next upcoming fixtures. You never know what's coming out. But you're right, the frustration is a little bit obvious now after 3 years being close but not making it.
Now, ultimately, as a manager, you are judged on silverware.
Yes.
What's his time frame until he has to win either the league or the Champions League? How long's he got left?
It's not up to me to discuss that, to tell that, because I'm not involved.
You can, we don't mind.
I can.
Fine,
It's
roughly.
For example, if you compare that with Arsene Wenger, if he still would be there, and have missed it now the third year on a consecutive run, they would have been under a lot of criticism. With Mikel, because he's young and he brought the team up now. Yeah, very good, I have to say, very good. But something, for whatever reason, is still missing. And we don't know what, because we're not inside the club. And I don't know who inside the club could make that decision based on which knowledge. Yeah, that's always a discrepancy because of the ambition of a club and the actual, how can I say, conduction or action you're taking.
Do you think it's as simple as the team that you played in? You had, for me, the greatest Premier League player of all time in Thierry Henry playing centre forward. The fact Arsenal haven't had a recognised centre forward since Aubameyang. I know it's quite simple to say, well, that's the reason why they haven't got over the line. They haven't got a centre forward. Do you think it's as easy as that?
No, because you have to have a good structure. Yeah, and Thierry, for me as well, I was blessed to play with him in his peak. He was exceptionally. But we had a good structure, because sometimes they say you can win with a good offense, but you can win games with a good offense, but you win the championship with a good structured defense. And in my opinion, years ago they made one or two mistakes, which they did not really correct. And but as I said, I don't want to talk too much about it. We love the club. We want them to win. And I hope that they're going to win the Champions League.
Let me ask you about that unbelievable season, the Invincible season 03-04, because you played every game of that title-winning season. Just tell us a bit about that season. You joined the side in the summer. What was it like walking into a changing room with superstars there? Pires, Henry, Vieira, Bergkamp. Can you remember that?
Of course, I remember it, because I was impressed by the quality. For example, in my first game in training, Dennis Bergkamp chipped me from a 6-yard distance.
6?
Yeah, 6-yard distance. Six. Yeah, okay. I will never forget that. So I thought, oh, that's quality. But then I looked around me and I said, okay, I'm the only one who ever won a European Cup. And so that gave me some confidence.
There's obviously a special feeling amongst teammates, a special feeling in a dressing room. You played for some great sides, AC Milan. Of course, you played for a wonderful German side as well. When you walked into that dressing room, did you feel that there was something a little bit special happening?
Definitely, because I never saw such a blend of players, blessed with quality, but at the same time, some camaraderie, which was absolutely vital to win the Premier League. And I think in this year we should have won the Champions League as well. We've played Chelsea 5 times. We won 3 times, drew 1. And when we were at our weakest moment and completely tired, they've beaten us. Wayne Bridge in the last minute in the quarterfinal. And even then, they did not win it. It was Porto then, I think, with Jose Mourinho. And so that told you a little bit about the fatigue and the big effort you had to take to be successful in the Premier League, because it took off a lot of power and energy, even of Chelsea, after they've won against us, not to win the Champions League at this time.
Do you think you'll see any other team do that again, go the whole season in the Premier League unbeaten?
And not in the current structure, because our team, we learned how to communicate. And I don't know if I said that at the beginning, as goalkeepers and defenders, you're not taught to communicate right on the pitch at the right time, in the right way, and with the right orders. The education is different, so it's very difficult for one team to be unbeaten. The only team where you see it sometimes with Van Dijk, for example, is Liverpool. Yeah, I think they are some really good communicators. That's why they are successful.
We've seen some unbelievable achievements in English football. We've seen Man City win 4 titles on the bounce. We've seen Manchester United win the treble. We've seen Manchester City win the treble as well. And, of course, Arsenal's Invincible season. If you had to put them in order, what do you think is the most difficult thing to achieve in English football?
Well, I'm sitting here and I was blessed with getting into a team where I haven't lost for 1.5 years, on English soil.
Who beat you in that last game?
No, don't get me started with that game.
Are you a Man United fan?
That game was appalling. That game. Who refereed that game again? Howard Webb.
What was the score? Was it 2-0?
No, it wasn't Holloway.
Which one was it?
I've forgotten the name, but it turned out I think that he was a Man United fan, and it was with VAR. With VAR, the penalty wouldn't have been given.
No, Sol Campbell didn't even touch him, and he went down.
Yeah.
It was 2-0 though, wasn't it? It wasn't 1 goal.
2-0, yeah.
2-0.
Man United should have three-passed it off.
It's over. Look at him. Look. It's funny, Benty said VAR because we were chatting in the break about the game you were sent off in the Champions League final.
Yeah. And
you were saying that this was in the outbreak that if you had VAR, then the goal wouldn't have stood anyway because it was offside, right?
Somebody told me that it would have been offside.
So what's your view as an ex-goalkeeper on VAR? Are you a fan of it?
Yes, absolutely.
I
mean, there are some mistakes, but it takes so much pressure off the referees and of the players sometimes as well, because you cannot argue anymore if it was offside or not. You see it, or for some other decisions, okay, there are always some disputes about handball, yes or no, did it matter, did it not matter? But in total, I think it's a very good technology.
Okay. I'm curious as well, before we go into the break, I have to ask you about your relationship with Manuel Almunia. There was a lot of chat about you not getting on with him. Any truth in that at all? Were you friends on the pitch or off the pitch? Or
of course not, because he was the one who took my place, so I needed to regain that place. But I always had very difficult relationships with my teammates on the pitch. For example, I was always arguing with Thierry, as an example, in training. Because I said to him, run, or with some other guys, because in training it was about winning. Already. So you can imagine the relationship wasn't always the best one, and not with Emmanuel, but off the pitch, it's a different story. And I told him that off the pitch, I really liked him. Very nice guy, and he was surprised because, he was quite young, inexperienced, and he thought I hated him, but I didn't. I just wanted to play, and I made everything that I could play again. So, because I was the older one and I was more experienced, sometimes I psyched him a little bit. It wasn't unfair, but sometimes it happens in football. When you had a competitor, you did your best to play, and not him. It's either me or him in football, and that went for Manuel as well. He was a fantastic goalkeeper. I liked him a lot. I told him, and since then we were on good terms again.
That's nice.
Mike Riley.
Was it Mike Riley?
Oh, okay.
Well, he's here now. If you want to.
talkSPORT Drive with Andy Goldstein. Monday to Friday afternoon from 4 on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.